what drugs?
He definitely needs to go and do some Ukrainian folk dancing lessons.
Yeah, not the best footwork. I mean, in his prime, the guy moved like a butterfly, but things have changed. He was an amazing fighter in his prime.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, it gets overshadowed by activity like we just witnessed.
Right. And what do you think of this Jake Paul fellow?
I always say that if Jake Paul was not a YouTube star, if people just looked at him like an up-and-coming boxer, you would say this kid's got a lot of fucking talent. Right. He's dangerous. He's dangerous. I think his strength is that people, for whatever stupid reasons, they underestimate him because of what his background was.
Right.
And they think there's no way that some guy who became famous off of YouTube is going to be an actual legit boxer. But if you look at what he's done, the time that he's put into it, and the ability that he has, just the sheer ability, he's a very good boxer.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, and he seems to treat his body the right way too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trains hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched a lot of his training footage. I've watched all of his fights. He can fight.
What do you think of the thing with Mike, though?
58 is 58.
Yeah.
No matter what you're taking and what they're doing for you, and you're still 58.
Yeah.
But 58-year-old Mike Tyson is not 50-year-old Mike Jones that lives down the street. It's a different kind of human being, and he still can knock your fucking head into another dimension if he can catch you.
Yeah.
The thing is, can he catch a 28-year-old guy who's at the top of his career, who's winning legitimate boxing matches? I mean, he's beating former UFC world champions like Tyron Woodley. You know, he had that very good fight with Tommy Fury, who's a legitimate boxer, you know, which was a very good fight. You know, he just beat up Mike Perry, who's a bare-knuckle champion. I mean, he's a real fighter. He can fight. He can, and if Mike Tyson and him are fighting and Mike can't catch him, and Mike has bad knees, if his back's bad. I mean, I don't know what's going on with him physically. Mm-hmm. It's hard to tell from a guy just hitting pads. When he's hitting those pads, he looks great.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if he can do that, if he can actually do that for 8 rounds or 10 rounds, however long this fight is.
Well, that's going to be the key, isn't it?
Can he do that? I don't know if he can do that. I mean, he had to pull out of the first fight because he had an ulcer.
Right.
So it's, you know.
The thing is, I was quite enjoying the second phase of Mike's life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was terrifying as a boxer.
Yeah.
Terrifying, you know. Even when I met him at one point backstage at the stadium at a fight, and I was like, I'm still terrified of you from watching you, you know. But then that guy he started becoming, where he became more explorative and he was looking into what, you know, the meaning of life and, you know, having a smoke every now and then and stuff like that, you know. I was like, I'm enjoying this, Mike. Yeah. You know, I'm liking the evolution. You know, what bothers me with this whole thing is that he's got to kind of, you know, slide back to that warrior, you know, and I'm just not sure he needed to do it, you know.
Yeah. He's the reason why this table's so wide.
Why is that?
Because I was going to make the table more narrow and be closer to the guests. I had him on once when he was retired, and he was much heavier, and he was smoking a lot of weed, and he was contemplative and, you know, interesting and philosophical and just a fun guy to hang out with. And then I had him on again when he was about to fight Roy Jones Jr., and he had lost about 60 pounds.
Right.
He looked shredded. He had muscles bulging in his arms, and he was very intense.
Right.
It was like a completely different human being, and he was terrifying. Just being in the room with him was fucking terrifying. And I said, you know what? This table needs to be a little wider.
I'm glad it wasn't only me.
Yeah, I just don't want to be that close to him. He fucking scares me.
Right.
Like, I felt his energy. It was and even Jamie said it after he left. Jamie was like, that's a totally different person.
Right.
Because Jamie was here for the first one, the second one. It was just, he was so fired up that it was, he had reignited that thing inside of him that existed when he was the best in the world.
Yeah.
And that force that caused him to try to achieve greatness was back. And he was fit, and he was, you know, he was in the middle of training, and he was all in on this Roy Jones Jr. fight. Yeah. And now he's...
I just hope for the both of them that it transcends the sort of circus type atmosphere that's around it, you know?
Yeah.
That it's a legit fight and they both do well and nobody gets hurt. That's
that would be nice, but it's probably not going to happen. It's probably going to be one of two things. It's either going to be Jake Paul's going to find out that 58-year-old Mike Tyson is still a motherfucker, or we're going to find out that 58-year-old men are 58-year-old men no matter what they look like. Right. And Jake Paul is a 28-year-old athlete in the prime of his life.
Yeah.
You know, it was a real.
I mean, if you just do it to yourself, right? Take
Yeah.
You know, me at 60 versus me at 28.
right.
Forget about it, man.
Yeah, it's different things.
All
yeah.
over. You know?
Yeah, and also there's an accumulation of injuries that everyone has.
Tell me about
Yeah,
it.
it's just no avoiding. But what I do want to get you in. I guarantee you, stem cells will help that.
Right.
I've had tremendous success with stem cells.
Right. In shoulder joint?
Yeah. I was told by a doctor that I was going to have shoulder surgery. He said, well, he did all of these exercises. We pushed down on it, and we did an MRI. He's like, it's so torn. He goes, you could try
was
to
the labrum
rehabilitate.
tissue?
No, it was a little bit of labrum, but it was I had a full length rotator cuff tear.
Okay.
And he's like, it's going to have to be repaired.
Right.
So I had another guy in Vegas, this guy, Dr. Roddy McGee, and he's like, let's try stem cells. And he was doing them for the UFC. And, you know, they could do some pretty potent stuff. This is before some of the new regulations have come into place. That they're constantly trying to regulate this stuff because it's very effective. Well, I went in, he shot me up, I took it easy on it, I did the rehab, I started doing all these I used these crossover symmetry bands, and I started doing all these exercises to build my shoulders back up, and then I started feeling pretty good, and I started working out again, and just being real careful. As soon as I feel pain, I'm going to stop. I went back to him in 6 months and got an MRI.
Right.
He said it was the most extraordinary thing he's ever seen. He said the tear is gone.
Right.
He said, I've never seen this before. He goes, I've never seen this. All my years of being an orthopedic surgeon, I've never seen a tear in a rotator cuff completely disappear.
Well, what's happened with mine now is that it's full of arthritis, you know? So if they were going to repair it now, right, they've got to cut it, they've got to pop the bone up, shave the top of the humeral head off, cut it off, put, you know, like some plastic bit in there,
Yeah. Don't do that
sew it
yet.
back. 11 months rehab.
Yeah, don't do that yet. Don't do that yet. This is why I don't do that yet, because there's breakthroughs right now where they're regenerating cartilage. There's several studies. I believe one of them is out of Australia, and another one, my friend Brigham, who runs Ways to Well, I actually sent this to him. I'll send this to you, Jamie. But it is there's a new study that came out that's showing that they're able to regenerate cartilage tissue. And this is very, very promising. So when they're able to do this kind of stuff now, if you could just hang in there, here you go, Jamie. If you could just hang in there for just a year or so, I guarantee you they're going to be implementing this stuff on people.
See, I've got no cartilage in my big toes, no cartilage left, because of all the sports I used to do are lateral movement sports. But also, you know, sometimes shit goes wrong in a stunt, and you got to stop or you die.
Right.
You know? So this
is it. Insulin-like growth factor 1 in articular cartilage repair for osteoarthritis treatment.
Right.
So they're able to do this signaling pathway that's been implicated in articular cartilage repair.